Write and Vibe Publishing. What exactly is that, and what type of services and things like that do you provide?
Yeah, so Right and Vibe Publishing is, people say everything is their baby. So back in 2019, I was like trying to write my book, The Clouds Will Catch Me, and that's a book about the last days of my mom who passed away. And so I was trying to write that. I was off from work about a month or so. I was like, "Hey, I gotta take some time off work. I gotta grieve. I gotta do some stuff." And so I took time off. And so I'm always like, I kind of struggle writing inside my home. And so I went through all these things like, I got to find a place to write. I went to all these centers. I went to the library. I went to coffee shops. And I don't know, I'm a little bit particular. So, like, the seats were either too hard, I mean, or it was too loud, or it was too cold, or it just wasn't like serene enough. And so I was like, I should just open a writer's center where people can just come and write. And it's like the perfect environment, the perfect chair, the perfect temperature, maybe even like the perfect creative scent. I don't know. And so I was going to do this, and it was going to open up like 2020. And what happened in 2020? And so I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? And so I just took time off. I was like, well, if it don't ever come to fruition, or it doesn't come to fruition 2020, I'm not going to be like too upset about it, because just knowing and working with um, God's timing. And so I was like, it's just not time. And so one of the goals, or one of the features of the Writer Center, was that it was always going to eventually publish the books of the writers that came in to write. Right. And so I was like, well, I guess I could pivot. Like, I'd been in the writing industry for a long time at that point. I'd been to writers' conferences, taken classes, I'd talked to literary agents. I'd kind of seen like what publishers did. And so I was like, well, let's just see if I can just kind of purposely pivot into the publishing field. And so from there on, I just started taking publishing specific classes, really trying to see like, how does this work? What does it take to actually put together an entire book? And so come to find out, it actually took a lot, but I loved it. I asked a friend, and I was like, well, I didn't have anything that I wanted to publish at that moment. I wasn't done with my mom's story for kind of the most part. I wasn't ready to do that. Um, and so I asked my friends, like, hey, do you have anything that I could try and publish as like a test, right? And she was like, I think I have something. Because she was a writer, and she'd always wanted to be a published author. And so she's like digging in her archives, her notebook and stuff. And she's like, she sends me something, and she was like, is what about this? And I'm like, well, let's try it. And so it went very well, and her book went on to do very well, from something that was just like, hey, do you have something to write or publish? And she's like, yeah, to now she was like, this is it right here. I Met a Guy by Valencia Joy, the very first title on the Right and Vibe imprint. um, she went on to be a finalist in the nonfiction and humor genre, and for like a best book award. So she's actually done very well. She's been on TV with her book speaking. And so she's working on her second one right now. And so that's really how Right and Vibe came about. So it is an indie publishing company. So it means that I don't traditionally publish, but I also don't self publish. So it sits right in the middle of those two worlds. I like to say, I personally think it's the best of both worlds, right? Of course, there's pros and cons for whichever publishing route you take. And the publishing route that anybody is going to take should be specifically geared for that person and their book, right? So sometimes we're like, I want to be traditionally published, but it actually doesn't fit my schedule. So for example, to traditionally published books can take up to 3 years to come out. So you have to know like your timeline. So if I write a book and I don't want to wait 3 years and I want my story to be intact how I told it, then you should know that you should not try to go the traditional publishing route. And that's one of the things that I talk about when I do I give everybody a 30-minute free consultation call, which I go through the different publishing routes and I go and we talk about the book and we talk about Write and Vibe. And the reason we talk about the book idea is because as an indie publishing company, I need to make sure that it's right for Write and Vibe and that Write and Vibe is right for the author as well. Like it's not a one-way street. Um, I work very closely with the authors because we have so much to do. Like I have to make sure that I understand them and I understand their story so that I can make sure their best story comes out when the whole process is done, right? My goal is never to take their book and turn it into something else that they would not love, that they do not agree with. Um, but at the same time, I'm here and I'm bringing my expertise. So I need you to also trust me that I know what I'm talking about when I say, I think you need to add more here. Or if I say, this chapter doesn't really need to be in your book because it's not moving your story forward at all. And so it's like, it's a mutual trusting relationship. When I send them their welcome email, I say, hey, we go together now. So, I mean, I hope you in it for the long run. And that, and that's what it is. And so not only do I offer the full publishing package, which means we take your book from concept to publishing. I also offer a la carte services. So if someone's like, man, I already got it edited. Will you publish it? No, I will not publish it at that point because I, with the way my services work, I'll need to edit your book if I'm going to publish it because I need to make sure that it's going to fit the Write and Vibe imprint and what Write and Vibe represents. And so, if you've already paid for a for an editor, I don't want you to have to pay for it twice because actually that's where a lot of the fees go to for the publication process because my publishing, the editing that I do is developmental editing. So we're going to work together in tandem. We're going to share a document together. You're going to see as I work through it. I'm going to make notes like, hey, I don't understand what you're talking about here. Can you explain to me? And if you can't write it the way that you explained it, then I'll write that part for you in your voice. And so that's why it's so important for for us to have a really like understanding and mutual like relationship. We need to be able to work very well together.
Wow, wow. That's most definitely needed because so many people, like you say, they the artists, so they may write the work, but they don't have an idea of all of the things that they have to do, except especially if they're gonna publish it themselves. They gotta get the ISBN, they gotta get
Hmm.
edited, they
The
gotta
barcodes.
yeah, you gotta go through so much.
Yeah, the keywords, the cover. I mean, it's
Right, the
like
cover, getting the design, yeah.
I think my internal publishing steps, I think I have about 40 separate steps that I go through from beginning to end for the entire book. And so that's why I'm like, I I am an advocate for self-publishing. I'm an advocate for every form of publishing. But I'm also an advocate of knowing what you're getting into. So if you're self-publishing, you need to know, like, if you ain't done this before, it's gonna take everything, everything you got. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that you can't do it. You can, but you need to know up front that it's not just I wrote a story, I never read it again, I never edited it, and now I'm just gonna put it on Amazon and I'm gonna be like a best-selling author. Like, don't do that. Don't ever put something forth that has not been edited. That is like my pet peeve, and I think I even did that before, but growth.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a learning experience. Because some people be so excited to get their work out, but like
Mhm.
I had people contact me like, "Yeah, I want to put a book out. Show me how to do it right quick." And I'm like, "Man, it don't work like that. I'm trying to do it the right way." But
Right, right. Ain't no right quick.
yeah, yeah. So I want to definitely thank you for coming to the show.
Mhm.
It's been a phenomenal episode. Like I said, we proud of you. Keep doing the
Thank
great
you.
work.
Thank you.
Look forward to more projects coming from you. I know the viewers definitely gonna tap in with you. So
Mhm.
I want to thank them for tuning in as well. And it's been another great episode of Taye Speaks. So until next time, Queen. Peace.
All right, peace.
All right.